Waddell. I am joined, as always, by Jimmy. Jimmy, you had a bye week last week, I guess you could say. You weren't on the show, so it's good to see you back. You feeling refreshed, my friend?
Bye week. Went to the Astros Seattle game one, the Yordan Alvarez home run. So I saw that in a bar drinking margaritas after. So didn't stay around for the end of that. But my son's rivalry game, we got smoked in that one. So no, busy, but yes, off last week. And I did send in my underdog pick, and I had Duke, and they were right there, right there. And not as good as yours, though, huh? Tear down the goalposts. I mean, come on, Tennessee, act like you've been there. Just write the check. Don't ask your fans to pick up the bill for the goalpost, please. I mean, we're trying to move you back into the upper echelon of resource and expectation at SEC, and you still act like this. No, we need you to give us the money for the goalpost. Oh, that's come on, back. Temper it down now. It's gonna cost you in the long run, Tennessee.
Hey, some programs just can't act like they've been there before. I'm not saying that. I'm not pointing any fingers. But look, when Tennessee hit, when I finally had a profitable week last week, Jimmy, I was ready to tear down some goalposts too. I swear to God. But I told you guys, everybody listening to this right now, I told you I liked the slate last week. This week, I like the slate again. It's not as exciting, but I like it again.
And
So
we were this short of going to Cabo, huh?
oh,
And celebrating,
we
huh?
were this close. Kansas let us down for the retirement parlay last week. We only did 5 legs. The other 4 hit, though. I mean, we were right there. Unfortunately, it lost early. That was the earliest game on the slate. But what can you do other than fire off another one, which we will do at the end of this show? But I
Okay.
want to ask you about some futures real quick. We haven't talked much futures during this show throughout the season, but
Uh-huh.
we're getting to that point where you can start to mold what we think the college football playoff is going to look like. And there are a couple teams that jump out to me as realistic national championship contenders that have some juice here over at Bet Rivers. Michigan and Tennessee are both currently sitting at plus 1,600. In comparison to the top 4 teams listed right now, we've got Clemson plus 1,000, Alabama with 1 loss at plus 450, Ohio State at plus 150, and Georgia still is the favorite at plus 135. Would you sprinkle on Tennessee and or Michigan, and do you think those are good values going forward?
It's funny you bring those teams up because I think they're both going to be in a similar situation. They're going to be heavy underdogs, double-digit underdogs. Michigan at Ohio State and Tennessee at Georgia. Anywhere from 10 to 13 for both of those right now. That's hard maybe to stomach for some people because they're both off of impressive wins. I mean, the Michigan Penn State game was not as close as the score indicated. I mean, over 400 yards rushing. That was impressive. They may be a tick better than last year. Tennessee is that their offense is so confident they're going to get Tillman back. They have a chance to compete with anybody. But I think they're both going to be 11-1. I think they're going to be both at home, not going to their conference championship game, and we'll need a little help. Will Alabama lose, maybe say at Ole Miss to kind of open the door for them? So because a 12-1 Alabama SEC champion is getting in, a 12-1 Georgia team who beat Tennessee is getting in ahead of Tennessee, and Ohio State, if they go and if they beat Michigan, they're going to finish ahead of them. So it's worth it because I think nobody is as good as Georgia. Ohio State maybe has a chance, but we don't know. They've played nobody to this point. But Georgia is not the Georgia of last year. They're very good. I expect them to go undefeated, but 15 players drafted. I mean, it takes its toll. So I think it's worth a shot. You know me, it's not a whole lot of competitive balance in college football, but this year, every week it's kind of showing me that there is a little bit more. And I think, those teams have a shot, but I think they're both going to need some help. I just can't see them going to Athens or Columbus and win those games.
So I think this is the first year that you can actually say there's some parity in college football and truly mean it. And we're still not all the way there. We're not in a situation where, hey, everybody can win the title.
It's never going to have too much parity. It's a non-salary cap league, okay? I mean, some people can spend more than others. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Right. It's not an even playing field here. However, I do think the very top is a little more vulnerable than it has been in at least the last 10 years.
Agree.
And I think it reminds me of the conversation we had just last week where well, I guess it was Rob and I, because you were gone, watching Yordan Alvarez hit home runs. But Hendon Hooker to win the Heisman was valued similarly, right? It was like over 10-1 a week ago. And we're like, hey, I mean, this is essentially a hedge on Tennessee's going to win this game. He's going to skyrocket up and be either the favorite or the second favorite, and you're going to be able to hedge your bets if you place one now. And that's what it feels like to me with both Tennessee and Michigan sitting at that plus 1,600 number. I'm with you. They're going to be underdogs in those two games. I would not bet on them individually to win those games, but it wouldn't shock me at this point. We've seen Georgia be vulnerable to teams much worse than Tennessee. And I think Ohio State would be my bet for best team in the country right now. But there is something mental in that rivalry. And for the first time ever for Ohio State in roughly 10 years to be coming off of a loss to that Michigan team, like, might be better than last year.
And they know how they got pushed around in the snow last year in Ann Arbor, that they had to get better up front. And I think they are. They're just unproven. We don't know. But still, to be as impressive as they are without Henderson a lot, without Smith and Jigba a whole lot, they're the team that's capable of being that super team. This Alabama team is not what they used to be. They're going to get better now. And look, think about what it took to beat Alabama. Okay, it took 17 penalties, most ever. It took mental mistakes, which these things are happening all season. Okay, they're 129 out of 131 teams in penalties. I mean, that's not a typical buttoned-up Nick Saban team. And poor game management by Nick Saban. At the end of regulation, he's got to run the ball to where he either wins a regulation or goes to overtime. You cannot allow Tennessee to win that game in regulation, which he did. So 2 fourth down interference calls. They probably were, but guess what? We've been sitting here for umpteen years watching them just let them go. How about the Bryce Young scramble in Austin? The guy's tackling, the right tackling the guy. They let it go, but they called it this time. So all of these things had to happen just in front of 100,000 at Neyland Stadium too. I'm not ready to count Alabama out, and actually, I think it's going to be a real headache for the selection committee, because I think Tennessee's going to finish 11-1. I think Alabama's going to finish 11-1. I think Georgia's going to finish 12-0. You freaking tired of SEC fatigue now? I mean, get ready. So, and Michigan and Ohio State could be in the same situation. Michigan goes to Ohio State and their only losses by 7. I mean, that's a heck of a season. So we'll see.
Yeah, and God forbid, I mean, we got some teams that could run the table in other conferences that I don't think the committee wants to have to deal with. If you've got an undefeated UCLA, an undefeated TCU sitting there at the end of the season with 3 one-loss SEC.
UCLA is not going undefeated. They're not going undefeated.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a little bit. All right, answer me this real quick on the futures. If you had to put one bet down today on one of those 6 teams at the numbers that I listed, Georgia plus 135, Ohio State plus 150, Bama plus 450, Clemson, Michigan, and Tennessee all 10-1 or higher, who would you put your money on?
I'd take three bets and take and sprinkle and hope it hit one. I took a little bit, maybe a half a unit on Michigan and Tennessee, and take a full unit on Alabama. Ole Miss is their schedule has been horrendous. It's about 115 out of 131. Now they go into their tough stretch. That's the toughest game for Alabama the rest of the way there. Now they're going to have to play Georgia. I mean, that's tough, but that was a heck of a game. And although Alabama has had their scares, the things that Alabama's struggling on, and it could easily have 3 losses right now, but are fixable. I mean, it's discipline. It's, button it up. It's just, some things like that, because they still have an elite quarterback who put on a show. What did Bryce Young do to hurt his chances of winning a Heisman besides his team lose? He can't play defense. He can't field punts. He can't manage the clock for Nick. I mean, but Hooker is for real. And you're right. I saw as much as 14-1 in advice. I said, don't go Tennessee on the money line. Bet Hooker to win the Heisman. And he's down to 2-1 at Bet Rivers right now.
Yeah, impressive stuff. And that's why you listen to the Best Bets show. And that's why
you go,
Jimmy Oppo. Try to feed you some info here and there. All right, let's get into some of the games from week 8. I will warn our listeners, it is not as exciting of a slate as last week.
All pays the same.
Not the big game shine, but you are right, it pays the same. And here is a game I am excited about. And you alluded to a team that will not run the table in this game already. It's UCLA at Oregon. Oregon is minus 6. The over-under is 72. What do you like here?
I'll take the points. Oregon's very tough. I want to see UCLA away from home, even though it's not the most intimidating place to play, especially this season. But I mean, against Washington on that Friday night and against Utah, I mean, they won handily. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson continues to, this is a pattern now. This is not just a good game. It's not inconsistencies. It's only taken him 75 starts to kind of settle down, but still, he is the real deal. And Charbonnet, the local kid who went to Michigan and transferred back to the LA area, is having a wonderful season. And it's that Chip Kelly run-based offense. And then you've got those safeties cheat up to try and help support on the run. And, man, he's got easy throws for Robinson. I think it's going to be a real shootout, scoring galore, and I'll take any type of points in this one. Going to be a real good one in Eugene.
Yeah, I'm with you with taking the points. I'm a little surprised the line is as high as it is at 6. If I was playing guess the lines, right, I would have thought maybe this is just over a field goal, 3.5, 4. I think these teams are similar in caliber and they have similar weak spots. And we can't even say that we're sure they're weak spots at this point. And I'm talking about the quarterback position because Bo Nix has been a lot better and more consistent ever since the Georgia game than any of us thought he would be. And same with DTR. So I think this game really will come down to which quarterback plays better, and it's going to be in a very entertaining, high-scoring game. It could go either way. Take the points. I
think that's a great comparison. Both of these quarterbacks have had similar paths. DTR is stuck at UCLA the whole time, but both started immediately. Both have physical skill sets. They're big, strong, athletic, arm strength, but their decisions and their accuracy have left you scratching your head a lot of time. Yeah, after that rough one, he's away from the SEC now. He's as far as he can go. I guess he could have gone to Pullman, but he went to Eugene. And so he is I really like the way these two quarterbacks are playing this year. You can get better. You can get better. We've seen it. And so I think that lends itself to a ton of points. But I'll take the UCLA plus the points as well.
I'm going to throw a little narrative thing at you that has nothing to do with our bets on this Best Bets show. Winner of this game wins the Pac-12. That's my prediction. And that's not crazy.
They changed their format. You know that? How it's just the top 2 teams, and they're not splitting it into division this year because there's all vulnerable. But, yeah, it's USC is still projected to be favored over UCLA, but no, these are easy. The Utah with a loss already to UCLA, probably so.
Big implications. All right, let's move to the ACC here where we've got Syracuse heading to Clemson. Clemson is 13.5-point favorites. 49.5 is the over-under. What do you like?
Not much of a chalk eater, but I'll lay it here. I like the way Clemson is coming on. That game was not as close as the final score indicated. They were up 20, fell behind 7-0 in Tallahassee, and just pretty much worked Florida State the rest of the game. 2-0, by the way, touchdowns made the final score 6 points. But Clemson's got 3 of the 4 DBs back. That those guys that were playing against Wake Forest are not playing anymore. They're on special teams. And DJU has shown that he can be a consistent quarterback as well. He has really improved his touch, his accuracy, and his decision-making as well. And, that's what we kind of seeing now why, he was so highly recruited. I think Clemson's really kicking it into gear right now. And I'm laying it. But Syracuse they're not to be ranked. The rankings, man, they're the only thing they're good for is chump bait, bringing in the chumps, the squares, and letting us know where to fade. So I like Clemson in a big way here.
Yeah, I love when I am aligned with you, Jimmy, because this is one of my favorite plays of the week. It's a key number. It's right under that 2-touchdown number, 13.5. And I think this is one where Clemson gets out early and you feel a lot better about your side if you did side on Clemson here. Syracuse has to be one of the most fortunate teams in the country through 6 games. Undefeated, that's great. Obviously, that is very important. However, I think they're very lucky to have that be the case. They snuck by Virginia by just 2 points.
What about Purdue?
And the Purdue game, I was going to say.
Oh.
I mean, Aiden O'Connell handed them 6 points down the end with a really bad pick 6. They get NC State without Leary, and that looks like a comfortable win.
Yes, yes.
It's just they haven't run up against anybody that I would consider a good football team on both sides of the ball. And Clemson's more than a good football team. At home, as a bettor, I wish this was a night game because I'd be all over Clemson minus 13.5, but I think they're up for that noon kick.
No need the night for this one. This is going to be a blowout. No need for this one, yes.
I'm right there with you. All right, to the Big 12, where this is one I am pretty excited to watch. Texas and Quinn Ewers on the road favorites at Oklahoma State, coming off that big loss to TCU, a game in which really Oklahoma State led and controlled for the majority of that game. 6.5-point favorites, over and under 61. What do you got?
You have to see if Sanders is playing for Oklahoma State. I mean, if he is ready to go, but he is truly a question mark. Get your RotoWire out, watch your game day, check your your status, but you have to see it. If he's playing, I like them. Texas is one of the 6 teams that are top 20 in yards per play and yards per play defense, an opponent yards per play. And they've played a much tougher schedule than a lot of the other teams that are in there. Their point spread value is high, but there's something about these Texas and Oklahoma probably making their last trip to the teams in the Big 12 that they are too good for, and they're leaving for the SEC. We saw the atmosphere in Lubbock. It had an impact on the game. So it's a stay away spot if I don't have Sanders. But if we do, if Oklahoma State quarterback is ready to go, I love the 6.5 at home.
Yeah, you hit the nail for me there at the end. Sometimes as a gambler, or at least I'll share my vision here. As a gambler, you have to take calculated risks when you get a line like this. I have no idea if Spencer Sanders will actually play. Mm-hmm. But if he does, I'm all over this line. And if he doesn't, I think it's still reasonable that Oklahoma State could hang in the game. I was not impressed with Texas last week. I really do.
He's been starting for 4 seasons, though.
Oh, I know. He's a huge reason why I have been high on Oklahoma State all season. And without him, they're a totally different team. But right now, I have concerns with Texas. I really do. I think Iowa State is pretty meh at best. And for that to really be a game that down the stretch, Texas needed fortunate play after fortunate play to fall their way to sneak away with a victory.
No doubt. Look. The emotional roller coaster, the biggest margin of victory in the history, of the state fair game. Okay, I mean, if there was ever a hangover effect, you think the Yankees were popping champagne after they beat the Guardians? I mean, what were the Longhorns doing after exercising all of those beatings over the years and beating them 49-0? Classic letdown spot. I think they gotta get back to going. Yours is good. Texas is good. Sarkisian probably didn't deserve a plum job like Texas, but he's doing a good job this year.
I'm going to say something that's pretty blasphemous here. I'm already mad at myself for saying it, but are we sure Quinn Ewers is good? Are we positive?
Yes, I am. Yes.
He was missing a lot of throws last week, Jimmy.
What's that?
He was missing a lot of
throws. He was hungover. I mean, it's college football. They've gotten their brains kicked in for years by Oklahoma, and they remind them about it over and over and over. Yes, he'll be fun. I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick when he comes out. I think he's that good. I think he'll beat out Arch Manning next year when royalty comes to town. God bless.
I think he might be modeling some hair products in a couple of years.
He's got his Porsche. They towed it the first game, the whole bit.
Hey, get it how you can get it, man. I'm not hating.
That's right.
I have something else on this Oklahoma State game that I'll save for later in the show, but plus 6.5, I'm all over it. Let's go to the Big Ten, my country, where we have Iowa at Ohio State. I can't recall a time that this line has been this high. Minus 29.5. I mean, what do we do with this?
What are we doing, really? I mean, Fox and the Big Ten has brought just elevated the noon Eastern slate so much. It used to be a snoozer, and then it's back to Ambien. I mean, my goodness, Iowa and Ohio State. How bad do they want to beat them? I mean, are they? Is Iowa going to score? Do we have what's a point total in Iowa? 2.5.
49 is the total number for this. But that's, you're right. That's 49 for Ohio State, essentially, right?
Yeah, so 39-10 is the extrapolated score here. I mean, come on, man. This is as bad as they want to beat them. And I think it'll be pretty bad because they're starting to get some of their guys back. I'll lay the points, but come on, Big Ten, you're better than this. Did they have a
Yeah.
whiteout game somewhere? Oh, you can't do that, but that night, I forgot.
Listen, I'm not proud as a Big Ten
Do
guy.
we have an axe or a bucket somewhere we could throw in here, huh?
This is the behavior of my conference. I'm not happy about it. So, yeah, you got to take Ohio State here, but I still don't think you feel good about it. Iowa, I mean, for whatever you want to say about this year's version of Iowa, they're still just like a pesky program, and this defense is solid. I promised myself I wouldn't use the word good in Iowa in the sentence in any form at all, but it's 29.5. It's Ohio State. You bet it, but you don't feel great about it. This could be a backdoor situation. All right, let's move to teams that can actually play good football on both teams here. Mississippi State and Alabama. Maybe that was too much praise I just gave Mississippi State. I don't know. Bama favored by 21 points here at home off of the loss to Tennessee. Nick Saban in a bounce back spot. That sounds scary.
Yeah, and everybody knows it, including the odds makers. So this is an inflated line, knowing that people, Alabama's not losing twice. Saban off of a loss, he's going to kill his team, the whole thing. And so they have inflated the lines also. But the last 7 losses, he's come back and they've won and they've covered. And not only have they covered the inflated line, they've been covered by an average of 13 points. So the little man, that's the baddest little dude around, man. He might be 5'5", 150 pounds, but Nick Saban is killing his team, wearing them out. He's getting their attention a little bit. I think they get a little bit more buttoned up. State, check them out, home and away. They get, blow out A&M and Arkansas at home, beat double digits at Lexington and Baton Rouge. They're on the road again. I think Alabama, and this is a sort of a square public play, but hey, man, they've been beating inflated lines for years. In a bounce back spot, I'll take them again.
Yeah, I don't like to play just like schedule results translations all the time, but this is a spot I feel okay doing that. Mississippi State coming off a 10-point loss at Kentucky. Do I think Alabama's 11 points better than Kentucky? Pissed off Alabama's 11 points better than Kentucky? Absolutely, I do. I won't be shocked if this game ends up being close, at least for a stretch of it. But are you really going to feel good backing Mississippi State plus 3 touchdowns? Not at all. You can't do it. You got to go with Saban. You got to go with the motivation. You got to go with the Tide here. They're a very good football team. They're going to make things interesting in the SEC down the stretch of the season. To Penn State, where they are hosting Minnesota. We have been told this is the whiteout game for Penn State. Little odd. They're playing Ohio State next week. Maybe you'd want to flip that as a fan. Penn State -4 is the line. 44.5. Pretty low total here. What do you got?
Desperate move by the Nittany Lions, huh? Whiteout for Minnesota. PJ Fleck in the boat. A team that was drilled by Illinois last week. A team that was outgained by over 300 yards by Illinois, who's probably going to win the Big Ten West. But you talk about sandwiches, and this is the monster sandwich game. That's why they're trying. They're desperate because they just played who? Michigan. They're playing who next week? Ohio State. And here come the Gophers coming in with the little boat, PJ. Hey, let's get them fired up. Let's let everybody wear white tonight. I like Minnesota. I don't like Minnesota's team, but I like them in this spot. So this is it. What is there a bigger sandwich spot in college football this year than between Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten? Give me Minnesota plus a 4.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's who do you like more in the bounce back spot here, Minnesota or Penn State? It's a stay away for me. You could talk me into either side. In fact, I think I'm going to let you talk me into Minnesota here for when I get to my retirement parlay shortly. But look, Minnesota they lost to Purdue, but they were missing guys in that game 2 weeks ago. Then they get the running back. They go to Illinois, who Illinois is actually playing pretty good football right now, and they lose that game. Okay. At some point, I do believe that Minnesota is good enough to just surprise somebody. I don't know if that's this week, but they're running out of surprise opportunities. This is the last ranked team on their schedule. I think they want this game. You might catch Penn State a little bit asleep at the wheel here. Let's go to the SEC again. Ole Miss at LSU. LSU favored by 2 at home here. The over-under is 68.
Ole Miss, and their, yards per play in their first 3 games against 3 cupcakes, and in the last 4 against Tulsa, Vandy, Kentucky, and Oh gosh, I'm forgetting who they played last week, but it's going from 3.8 to 5.8. Their points per game defense is going from 4 a game to 24 a game, and they're just getting started to go into the tough part of their schedule. So they're only expected to be favored in their last game of the season. They're going to be an underdog at Arkansas, underdog at A&M, underdog at home against Alabama, underdog here against LSU, and only favored by 3 at home in the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. Jaden Daniels finally decided to let the ball go. Also, LSU got their starting left tackle back. The night before the Tennessee game, 5-star left tackle Will Campbell, true freshman, was hospitalized with dehydration. He got back last week against Florida. Not only did he get back, but he was co-SEC offensive lineman of the week. He's not your typical freshman. And Daniels woke up the receiving corps. First 6 possessions in Gainesville, 6 touchdowns. He accounted for all 6. 3 with his arm, 3 with his legs, and out of nowhere. So what do we see moving forward? Well, you would have to think what we saw the last out of him, we'll see closer to that. We're not going to see 6 for 6, but we'll see much more than just a look, one look, and I'm going to tuck it and run type of quarterback. And again, he does get his left tackle back. I like LSU in this spot. Unranked, favored over a ranked team, almost an auto play. Well, it is here. How about unranked, favored over a top 10 team? This ain't no top 10 team. Sorry, Johnny Reb. Take you behind back to Oxford. So I'm taking the Tigers in this one, -1.5.
Yeah, this is one of those, I don't want to call it a trope, but it's a trope that you've taught me all about this year. The unranked team against the ranked team at home. It's an auto play. And so far, it's done us very well since I've been tracking that. Now, I think this game just comes down to how good Ole Miss is. And that's oversimplifying it a little bit because LSU can certainly play. That you don't go into the swamp and essentially have an unstoppable offense for 6 consecutive drives unless you can play some football. But I do think this just comes down to, can Ole Miss execute offensively the way that they want to on the road against a defense I think is pretty solid. It is a trappy spot, I think, for LSU a little bit. They host Alabama the week after this.
No, that's not.
No, they have the bye, right?
Yeah.
They have the bye. Never mind. Not trappy. LSU -2. There you go. Back to the Big Ten.
Until further notice, LSU and Alabama will have a bye before they play themselves. So,
of course. Okay, to the Big Ten. Purdue at Wisconsin. Wisconsin coming off a loss to my Michigan State Spartans. Didn't think I'd get to say that again on this show, but here we are. Purdue been pretty underwhelming this year, but I still believe there's a talented offense somewhere in that football team.
Did we mention 4th down interference calls? Huh? Did we do that?
First down. What? I don't know what those are. Wisconsin -2.5 here, Tim. What do you got?
I'm taking Wisconsin. Even in the loss at East Lansing, I saw a team that's willing to throw the ball. It looks more modernized throwing the ball. I do think that Wisconsin does not quite have the personnel defensively that they have had in the past years, kind of pushed around a little bit at times by Michigan State. But Graham Mertz, again, they're giving them the freedom to throw the ball on neutral downs, throw the ball downfield, throw the ball across the middle. So I do like them to bounce back a little bit. It's a tough call on that 4th down interference. I mean, I'm sorry, but and that allowed it to go into overtime. Hey, Michigan State played well. They were going to cover in that one, but I thought that was a tough loss for Wisconsin. I like the direction they're headed, kind of opening things up. I'll take them against Purdue.
I'm on the opposite side here. I'm on Purdue. I still think that Aiden O'Connell is the difference maker in any game they play. He hasn't played great this season, but I think he's the best player in this game. I thought Wisconsin was okay, but I thought Michigan State just played less bad than Wisconsin did. They tried to lose that game so many ways down the stretch and still couldn't do it. So give me the Boilermakers. We've got a minute left in the show. Let's fly through the retirement parlay real quick. I've only got 6 legs this week, $100 to win $12,600.89. Never forget the cents. Starting with Purdue Moneyline at Wisconsin. Ole Miss moneyline at LSU. I'm a little trappy after we talked about that one, but we'll rock with it. UCLA moneyline at Oregon. Oklahoma State moneyline at home against Texas. Spencer Sanders, please play. TCU moneyline at home against Kansas State, and Minnesota moneyline at Penn State. $100 to win $12,000. We were 1 leg away last week. Let's do it this week. All right, to our moneyline underdogs. Jimmy, who you got?
All right. Well, I skipped last week. I did submit though Duke, which is a tough loser. But the week before, plus 425 on Arizona State that won outright. So I like Minnesota to win outright. They're plus $1.45. But Kansas State, Minnesota, both money line parlays at plus 45 and plus 40, pay plus 488. That's more my speed. Not quite retirement speed, but again, plus 488, Kansas State and Minnesota, little money line parlay.
Hey, Jimmy, I like it. I will never turn down you giving me a parlay, my friend. Let's spice it up. I'm rocking with Oklahoma State. That's my play this week. I'm not buying Texas right now. If Spencer Sanders plays, I think this is the best value you can get on the entire board this week. The number is plus 185. I like it. We've had good luck. I don't even want to call it luck. We've had good skill with our money line underdog picks over the last few weeks. I hit Tennessee last week. Let's go 2 for 2, back to back. Oklahoma State, let it rock. Jimmy, always a pleasure. Good luck with the bets this week, my friend, and we will talk to you next week.
Yes, indeed. A little extra juice at T-Boone for the Texas Longhorns on their way to the SEC. Good luck, my man.
Good luck.
All right.